Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in today. If you haven't done so already, please dial into the audio portion of this call using the phone number that was emailed to you, or listen in using your computer speakers. Today's session is being recorded and will be made available on the Exit Realty YouTube channel, as well as on focusongoodhealth.com later this week. At Exit, we believe that health and wellness is imperative to a better quality of life. To that end, our Focus on Good Health initiative was created to offer tips and tools promoting wellness both at work and at home. My name is Samantha Morris, and I am the Focus on Good Health. I am pleased to welcome you today to our second of 4 webinars planned for this year, featuring guest speakers on a variety of subjects, including nutrition, mindfulness, fitness, and more. Today's special guest speaker is Erica Nasby. As an integral member of the Exit Mindset Training Systems team, Erica's deep knowledge of professional and personal growth is matched by her clear understanding of practical and proven skills. Erica is an international speaker and coach. She has worked with tens of thousands of people across North America. In her coaching practice, she works with clients one-on-one, with teams, and with entire companies. Whether by helping clients to let go of painful or traumatic scripts, or in assisting with new growth, the breadth of her work is vast. In addition to assisting clients grow their business and create better quality lives, she has touched the rest of the world in her most recent success as a TED Talk presenter. Her perspective is truly contagious and uplifting. As a contributor to Focus on Good Health, Erica offers a knowledgeable perspective fueled by her passion for neuroscience, alternative health, and child development. Erica enjoys building and creating a dynamic life alongside her husband Chuck and her 3 young children, Maximilian, Talulu, and Fergus. Listen carefully and take notes, as this is a huge opportunity for every single person listening. I have no doubt that this experience will leave a profound effect on you and your health. Please welcome Erica Nasby. Erica?
Thank you so much, Samantha. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. So today it's exciting because we're going to have a conversation about something that will touch absolutely every single person on the call. This whole conversation is about how our thoughts, how our mental state have a physical impact on our health. And there's really two states we can be in at any given time. We can be in dis-ease, or we can be at ease. And to be in dis-ease means we're living in an uncomfortable situation with challenging emotions and feelings surrounding it, and we're not feeling like we're in a position to deal with it or handle it or even work through it. When we're in a state of at ease, it's a different concept in that we're relaxed, we're at peace, we're trusting the process. And these two states dictate how our health sits. So where has your head been at in the last week, day, month, year? What has been occupying your thoughts? And how have you been able to handle those more pressing challenges in your life? Are they dominating? Are they eating away at you? Are they taking you into a headspace that leaves you feeling like you're in dis-ease? And it's interesting because we come across problems and challenges in our lives, and they accumulate in that we just keep sweeping them under the carpet, and eventually these do surface. So we're going to take a look today at the science of interaction of mind and body, and there's actually a term used for this. It's called psychoneuroimmunology. Psychoneuroimmunology, and it's the unity of emotions and physiology in human development, and throughout our lifetime, the impact of health and illness on our well-being. So in other words, this is a study of how the psyche, which is our mind and its content and all of our emotions, how the psyche interacts with the body's nervous system, and how both of them form an essential link with our immune defenses. So literally what we're thinking and feeling at any given time is impacting our systems. So let's take a look first at what is an emotion. What is an emotion? Well, first of all, we've spent our entire lives, I think, the majority of us, avoiding having emotions. It's interesting having 3 small children. I see emotions all day long, every day, and they're erratic and they're unpredictable, and there's no gauge on them, and that's what children are like. Now, I like to say it's different as we grow up, but I think for a lot of us, that's still, there's an undercurrent or a theme of emotions that come and go, and we're so quick to turn away from having feelings that make us feel uncomfortable. But yet, what is an emotion? It's a strong surge or feeling marked by an impulse toward outward expression, and it's often accompanied by a complex body reaction. Any strong feeling you have, like hate, joy, love, emotions are chemical reactions taking place. So therefore, they're my chemical reactions taking place. They're your chemical reactions taking place. They belong to us. And I like to think of them as our emotions, which usually come from our core and our solar plexus area. They are a navigating system, a built-in navigating system we have, and they have a distinct feeling to them. When we're feeling intense fear, we feel it in our chest. When we're feeling nervous about something or anxious, we feel knots in our stomach. In fact, I was just talking to a client this morning who he's in sales, and he has a lot of sales that are just percolating. They're just waiting to turn over and close, and he's incredibly anxious. And I said to him, feel it in your body, and he said, oh, my stomach is in knots. That's exactly it. That's having an emotion. And really what that is the chemical reactions are cortisol and adrenaline, and when we're feeling good, it's oxytocin. And thoughts and emotions translate into chemical expressions. So that's hormones and peptides, and this has an impact on our nervous system, our endocrine system, our immune system, our digestive systems, all of our systems. This is serious business. And these chemical expressions impact everything from how we metabolize, how our metabolism runs, to how we digest today's lunch, to whether we're feeling vulnerable to a cold or a virus. This is all dictated by these emotions. And our amygdala, part of our brain that can be activated by the mere sight or memory of something frightening or scary, or even an abstract thought, we can even have subliminal triggers that we don't consciously register as scary, but they're impacting our physical system. And these unconscious triggers can put us in a state of fear without us consciously knowing or even understanding it. So often I will say to clients, how do you feel about that? And they'll say, oh, they'll shrug it off and say, oh, it's no big deal. But it's obvious to me in the patterns that are coming up, it is a big deal, but it's probably happening at a subconscious level, and certainly it's having a physical impact on them. So on any ordinary day that has stressful components, right, here in North America, any ordinary day, there may be an overload at work, or maybe it's commuting in traffic that gets you tied up in knots, or being overwhelmed by the kids, or errands, or unpaid bills, or financial obligations that stress us out. Chances are we're experiencing a lot of this on a daily basis. So what do? That's what we're here to talk about today. We're here to discuss what action we can take to mitigate some of this. To minimize our stress, I'm going to give you some ideas and share some examples today of what we can be implementing. And for situations of stress you can't avoid, situations that seem to be out of your control, drama in your life, pressure of life, and seizing every opportunity we can possible to reframe or handle the pressure we have better so that we have a different impact on our physical body. So here's my first tip. What is my job? I like to use these 3 steps that I'm going to give you here as a nice premise or a nice grounding base to shift where you're at emotionally. Excuse me. So what is my job? Your first job is to know what you want. Now 97% of our culture would rather die than make a choice. Now that seems like a pretty bold statement, but when you think about the amount of procrastination we live in, which again is an inability to make a choice, and the amount of fear we have around where we're going in our lives, and when you look at the percentage of our population that is depressed and on antidepressants, it's clear to me that there's a lot of us walking around not knowing what we want, and it's a really overwhelming aspect of how we move through life because there are so many choices, and there's a fear around failing, and for some of us there's a fear around success. So knowing what I want, I think to master that is a big deal. And I always tell clients who say, well, I don't know what I want, Erica. I say, great. Start telling yourself the opposite. Start telling yourself, I know what I want. even if you don't know. And getting in the habit of affirming that, ideas and possibilities, I promise, will start to present themselves. So if you're one of those people who aren't quite clear about what it is you want, start affirming it. The other thing is, when you're making choices about what you want, cover all the categories in your life. You know, what do I want in my relationship with my partner? What do I want in my relationship with myself? What do I want in my career? What do I want to be creating and doing in my career? What do I want financially? What do I want in my health? You know, we're really good at saying all of the things we don't want, but I want you to start thinking about the things that you do want. In doing so, you're going to anchor yourself, because life is life, and it's a conveyor belt of challenges. That's inevitable. You know, we signed up for the whole buffet. We signed up for the sweet and the savory and the crunchy and the burnt and the smooth we signed up for it all, the bitter. And so we're on this conveyor belt, and there are going to be hurdles and challenges that ourselves. And when we get knocked over, or when we are overwhelmed, or when we're a little bit lost in our muck, it's easier to get up and you're dusting yourself off and you're walking around in circles and you say, okay, what do I want? What do I want? Ah, I remember what I want. I want to get to this place in my career, or I want to create peace and harmony and respect in my relationship. And when you go back to that thing that you want, you're anchoring yourself, you're grounding yourself, and you're taking yourself out of the whirlwind of stress of, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. The second aspect to your job is turning it over. So you decide what you want, and then you turn it over. That means you let it go. You don't calculate and strategize how. Here's a big tip, guys. How is not your job. What is your job? So, you know, I want to achieve this level of sales in my job. Excellent. How to do it is not your job. That you want it is your job. And see, that's kind of a big point where we all jump in and we start to take on the responsibility, and that stresses us out. I'm simply suggesting that we trust the process, we turn it over, and we let the ideas and opportunities present themselves because we're relaxed about it. The third step that you're required to really engage in is receiving it, and I think a lot of us have a tricky time with this. Receiving it means you just say thank you, or you're just open to having the experience, and you don't struggle and you don't fight. Oftentimes in my own life, when really great experiences have come in, things that I indeed wanted, I catch myself pushing them away or fighting them. Even in my own relationship, you know, when my husband really started to show up for me and we really got to the level where our communication was excellent, to be honest, I didn't know how to receive it, and I found myself resisting it. And this is so common. You know, we say we want these things. Are we really worthy of receiving them? Start telling yourself you are. Right? If you're born into this world, you're worthy of receiving. So these two steps are really fantastic in grounding yourself when you're living in stress. Remember, guys, there's only two emotions, really, love and fear. Love and fear. You can live in one of the two places. And when we look at frustration, jealousy, indifference, depression, any kind of contrast type emotion, that falls under the category of fear. And when we come from hope and peacefulness and joy and enthusiasm and excitement, those all come from a place of love. And there's thousands of different emotions we feel. And when we start checking in and identifying, hey, how am I feeling right now? What a great exercise to do throughout the day. Hey, how am I feeling right now? And start giving yourself permission to feel, because we spent the majority of our childhood being parented probably in a way where we were left not or encouraged to not feel, right? The minute the kid has a temper tantrum, somebody's shoving cake in its mouth, or saying, would you stop it? Do you want me to give you something to cry about? Or being frustrated. You know, with 3 little ones, I often can unconsciously parent and get caught up in the situation and just say, enough, I've heard enough crying, right? But when I'm conscious and I let that little Tallulah have an emotion, I let her have that temper tantrum, and I say to her, wow, you're really upset right now. I see it, I get it, and I just let her have it, and I just acknowledge, I bet that's frustrating. What I allow to happen allows her to transform her emotions. And when I resist her having an emotion, it perpetuates a negative energy for everybody in the family, right? So in having that ability to be able to let somebody have their emotions. It's tricky. Let your spouse have an emotion. Let your spouse stomp around the house because they can't find their keys or they're frustrated about something that went down at work. Just say, I get it. I bet that's really, really frustrating. Instead of trying to change, instead of taking the responsibility on of trying to make somebody feel differently. So really be aware of these two components that we can live in, these two worlds. Again, fear is dis-ease, and love is really at ease, isn't it? So, so the next thing that we're going to take a look at is this. When we're thinking and we're feeling, when we have a particular thought and a feeling attached to it, we are manifesting. So if I'm thinking about, oh my goodness, you know, I really need this transaction to come together, and I'm super nervous about it because, you know, the money is getting low in the bank and I've got some big financial obligations coming up, and I'm thinking about making those financial obligations and this deal not really coming together, and I'm getting more and more anxious about it. Guess what? I'm manifesting more of the same. So what is the best thing I can do in this moment? Stop. Go back to what is it that I want, quit worrying about it, and just get in a mode to receive, right? Or catching myself and saying, hey, I'm operating in lack mode. If I'm operating in lack mode, I'm going to get more lack. And this is having a physical impact on my body. This is dis-ease, right? Picture yourself like a petri dish full of cells. That's really what we are. We're giant petri dishes walking around with a bunch of cells inside of us. And when our petri dish is in a really happy place, our cells thrive when they expand, just as they are supposed to. We have this incredibly intelligent body, right? And when we are in a negative space around negative people or in unhappy situations that ultimately we put ourselves in, because when it comes right down to it, we are always responsible. And when I'm in that negative environment, what do cells do? They grow abnormally. They grow in a dysfunctional pattern. So if we want ourselves to be healthy, it's important that we create that situation for ourselves, right? We're incredible machines, and our bodies, the intelligence they have is just out of this world, really. And we have these inner physicians inside of us that immediately go to work to heal. And, you know, whenever one of my little ones falls down, in fact, Maximilian was skateboarding the other day and he skinned his knee, and he comes in and I go, awesome! Let's go get the hydrogen peroxide. Let's watch this scab, or let's watch this wound. Let's see what it does over the next couple days. Your body is so amazing. And then this morning, in fact, he said, Mama, look. And he's got quite the tan already from summer. And just where his scab's been healing, there's this white surface around it. And he goes, this is incredible. How does this happen? And I say, because your body is so smart. Your body wants to heal itself. It wants to look after itself. And the more we put ourselves as adults in a thriving environment, the better our systems are going to operate. So that's my responsibility, right? Acceptance is a big component of healing, and I've had a really incredible experience on a journey that I'm on currently with my father. For some of you know him, Bill Nasby, and Bill was diagnosed with stage 4 bone cancer in October, and it was really at the point where it was pretty obvious there was something very wrong. He had a hard time sitting, standing, walking, and he had just undergone hip surgery. And we thought it was the recovery from that, but it was just lasting too long. And Dad said, well, I'm pretty sure that there's something more intense going on here. I probably have something like cancer. And by the time they had everything tested and figured out, Bill was in a lot of pain, and it was really obvious that this was very advanced. And it was in stage 4 just means it was in all 4 quarters of his body. That's what stage 4 means. And so months in fact 2 months ago, I guess that would make it April, Bill and I were sitting on his deck, and we were talking about the cancer, and he was in this really frustrated place with it. You know, he'd been trying to adhere to a really strict protocol. There was contention between him and his partner Raina because she had to follow the protocol to make it work for him because he couldn't do it on his own given mobility and all of that, and just a ton of stress when you need to put your petri dish in a stress-free zone, right? When you're diagnosed with something like the big C, cancer, it is an emotional roller coaster. It weighs on your relationships, it weighs on your own personal health. It's just, there's so many battles going on at once. And I said to my father, are you accepting where you're at? And we had a whole conversation around acceptance that afternoon. And we cried and we laughed and we cried. And he said to me, you know, you're right. I have to accept this to heal this. Because when we soften, that's when healing takes place. But when we're in resistance mode and we're fighting, that is, again, dysfunction. That's our petri dish in an unhealthy environment. And it's really hard when you're being threatened, when your life is being threatened, to get in a place of acceptance. But when we accept where we are at, we can start to heal. When we accept our financial position in life, we can start to make money again. When we're resisting and fighting that we don't have enough and there's not enough and I'm scared and I feel threatened, we're focusing on lack, we get more lack. Nobody's saying this is easy. I certainly don't proclaim that this is an easy task, but that is the intention we must set. And to set an intention, already you change the playing field. And in our North American culture, we focus on war on drugs and war on cancer and war on, and I'm very quick to say war on anything I don't feel is going to take us into that direction of starting the healing process. And so what's really interesting with Bill is we have had, he's tested every month to see where his blood work and chemistry is. And from that point moving forward, he has had nothing but remarkable readings on his chemistry and is healing and is in fact reversing stage 4 bone cancer at 88. So I said to Maximilian this morning when we were talking about the scab on his knee, and he said, is this what Grandpa's doing? And I said, yes, that's exactly what Grandpa's body is doing. His inner physician is working with him, not just, and remember, Bill's not just doing the protocol, he started to do the emotional work, right? The emotional work is what has created this? What thoughts have I been focusing on? And having the ability to take time and stop and go inside and deal with our emotions and deal with our fears and put ourselves back on track while doing a very intense protocol has created huge shifts for him. And it's been really, really an honor to watch this process all go through. So acceptance is a big part of healing. When we fight and we resist, we're going to stay stuck. When we fight in a relationship and we're always making our partner wrong, we're going to stay stuck. We can't change people, and we know that intellectually, but we still run and take jabs at them. If you'd only talk like this, and if you'd only think like this, and if you were more positive, and in doing that, we're just discrediting, and we're making and creating more resistance. What you resist persists. So when you soften and you go inward and you start to focus on the little things that are working in a relationship, you see shifts, you see harmony. And sometimes it's difficult when you're so angry or frustrated with someone, but whose anger and frustration is it? It's yours. And we, as long as we can make other people, if I don't go inside and deal with that anger and frustration, who's it making not well? Me. It's taxing my system. And we know since we can't change other people, I can't rely on somebody else to make me better. And this is really critical. I think even when we're consulting physicians and practitioners, it's really important that it's a collaboration. You are the expert on you. You do know what's going on inside emotionally. And we never know what's going on inside somebody else's head, even when they attempt to communicate it with us. So it's your responsibility to collaborate with these really intelligent experts in their field to help them get you to a place where you have better health when you're in a situation like Bill is. I always say don't shoot the messenger, okay? And we're getting messages all day long. We're getting messages in our relationships and in our finances and with our health. So cancer is a messenger for a human being. Fibromyalgia is a message for a human being. Crohn's disease is a message for a human being. And we're so quick in our culture to shoot the messenger or band-aid the messenger or prescribe the messenger or cut out the messenger. And before we make those attempts, let's get the message. What is the emotional message? What is the root of this dis-ease? And let's see it as a gift and an opportunity. And that really goes against the grain of how most of us feel around disease and illness, around any occurrences that are happening into our day-to-day life that are frustrating us and overwhelming us. What is the message? So the only person that knows that message is you, and you have to go inwards and you have to ask the questions to be able to do that. Process equals joy equals results. In our culture, we focus on results, results, results. And as long as we're focusing on results, we're not experiencing joy. To experience joy, we have to love the process. We all have a process in our day-to-day lives. We have a process of how we prepare our meals. We have a process of how we acquire business and deal with clients. We have a process of how we handle our health. And if every night we're throwing our salads and our dinners together and we're frustrated and we're feeling indifferent to it and we're spiteful about it or we feel put out, we're never going to get the results we want to see. And if we're waiting for the results to come for us to feel happy, we're always going to be disappointed. And we live in a culture, well, as soon as I graduate, as soon as I get the degree, as soon as I get the ring, as soon as I get the kid, as soon as I get the what? What are we waiting for? What if instead we focus on being present in the moment and loving the process? So if you prospect for a living, if that's what you do to get your business, you better create a prospecting system that you love and it makes you feel good, right? You better create a process in preparing meals that you can have fun and it can be easy for you and it can be uncomplicated. You better create a process in your sleep where you have a great mattress and you have a fabulous space, clutter-free, that you can really rest and recuperate and rejuvenate your body in. That's so important. If you're living in clutter and chaos and drama and you're focusing on results, you are stuck on a hamster wheel, my friend. So to get off that hamster wheel, we have to get clear about what it is we want and really take a step back and say, what would make this process enjoyable and wonderful for me? Because if the process is great, the results, I guarantee, are going to come. There's a theme I see in my clients. When people come to me, and it doesn't matter what kind of money they make or what economic status they come from or wherever they're at in their lives, I see a thread of need throughout our culture, and that is self-love. And people look at me and they go, what are you talking about? I love myself. Of course I love myself. And I say, sure, on a conscious level you do. But remember, your conscious mind represents 1%, and 99%, as much as 99%, is subconscious belief. And if your subconscious beliefs are, well, I'm not really worthy, or I must have been bad, or I don't really feel smart enough, or I'm always last or left out, or nobody supports me, or I have to do everything by myself. If we've got subconscious beliefs, and if you belong to Club Planet Earth, guess what? You do have those limiting beliefs. They are guiding us. And so our basic needs is learning how to love ourselves. For the last 13 years, I've said to myself over and over again, what is self-love? What does that really mean? And I feel like I've started to piece it together. You know, I have 3 tiers of this. The first tier is basic needs. You know, am I feeding and fueling my body properly so it can operate at an optimal level? Am I doing that? Because it's easy to get swept up in the day, and I don't eat till 2 o'clock, and I skip over breakfast, and then I eat too big of a dinner, and then I'm tired, and because I'm still digesting at 10 o'clock at night, I don't get a great sleep, right? Am I putting the right fuel in? Am I being thoughtful of what my body needs? Now, what somebody else's body needs is different than what my body needs, and I operate better without sugar. I know that. Yet, I have an addiction to sugar. Most people do. We crave it. We want it. It happens at a neurological level. And so when I put sugar in my system, I don't feel good. My body doesn't feel good. So I have to be really thoughtful of that. And when I'm conscious, I am. And when I'm unconscious, which is a large percentage of my life, I pay the price for it. And it's okay when you're young. You can get away with that. But as you get older, it takes a toll. And it's funny, you know, you give your children sugar and they bounce off the ceiling and then they're sad and they go through this emotional roller coaster and we go, oh my goodness, look at that kid. He had too much sugar. Well, guess what? We're still having the same response as adults. We've got really good at masking it. And we wonder why there's so much depression, and we wonder why we feel that sugar hangover, right? And so water, food, sleep, those are all really incredibly important, and I'm the only one that can dictate that for me, and I have to make a conscious choice at it. And when we are in a pattern of self-abuse, there's no self-love there. Right? So that very, very basic need is so important for us to get in the practice of. Then so the second tier of self-love is, who's your audience? Who's in your theater? You're up on the stage and you're doing your thing and you're living your life. Who's in your front row? When we look at your spouse and your family and your friends and your colleagues, who's in your front row? Are they cheering for you? Are they promoting you? Are they applauding you? Or are they jeering, snickering, judging, and throwing tomatoes? If they are, whose responsibility is it to set boundaries around that? Whose responsibility is it sometimes to say, you, up to the first balcony, you, bounced right out of the theater, right? That's your responsibility. Who is my audience, and are they loving and supporting me? And vice versa, am I loving and supporting them? Because what I give back is what I will get back, or what I give out is what I'll give back. Poor Chuck can only love me as much as I love myself. And often in our relationships we'll say, hey, you're not loving me enough, or hey, you're not doing this for me, or hey, you're not doing that. And that's a big, big red flag for me to stop and say, hey, what am I doing for Erica? What am I doing for me today, right? So he's only going to love me as much as I love myself, so I better do some work on that because I want to be loved. That's one of the reasons why I'm here, and I think that's our journey here on the planet, is to learn how to love ourselves. So the third tier of self-love is fabulous because it's free, absolutely free, and it's totally up to me to do. And that is mind condition. So I have a practice that when I get up and I spend 15 minutes in the morning breathing. I spend another 10 to 15 minutes of meditation. I whip off a page of affirmations and I creatively visualize. That's part of my vitamins for the soul. That's what keeps me, that's the most amount of self-love I can give myself. That's where I go in and I reshape my mind. That's where I get those little niggling, limiting beliefs that keep me stuck. That's where I go in and I counteract them. And that's me putting my petri dish in a really healthy, vibrant, thriving place so my cells can be optimal, right? So these are all techniques that are very applicable today in our modern culture and are talked about on a regular basis. Engage in them. What creates better health, you guys? Better health is laughter and having fun and finding the joy and setting the intention that today I'm going to have a great time. Service. When you give back and you help other people, you feel incredible, right? We're here all to serve. So go be of service. Don't be worried about the paycheck. Don't be worried about how it's all going to work out. Don't be worried if it's going to work out. Be in service. Give, and you will always get. It's the law of reciprocity. So wisdom over judgment. You know, we're raised in a culture of judgment. I went to one of the finest universities in North America, and my professors spent hours and hours teaching us how to formulate smart opinions. The challenge with that is opinion is the biggest form of judgment. And when I'm in judgment, I'm not in wisdom. And when I'm in judgment, I'm not in observation. Get out of judgment and get into observation. We don't have to have an opinion about everything, right? Gratitude is incredible. This is where healing takes place. The minute you stop and you're having a terrible day and you focus on what you have to be grateful for, immediately energy shifts and healing starts to take place. It's a phenomenal tool to pull out of your back pocket at any time. And sometimes all you can muster up is, it's a beautiful sunny blue sky, or you've got pretty eyes, or well, I like the tie you're wearing, right? Where's your gratitude? I have a practice with my children. We get up in the morning, we say 3 things while we're still in bed that we have to be grateful for, and we go to bed at night and we go over 3 things that we have to be grateful for. And we're bookending our days with this so that my kids will go out and focus on what is working in the world. We have way too much media coming in, focusing on all the negative, right? Get clear with your goals. We spoke about that earlier on in the session. Knowing what you want is incredibly important. Responding with ability to individual thoughts and feelings. That means that we are getting out of reaction mode and getting into response mode. And reacting is an addiction. It feels good to react. It feels good to pout. It feels good to stomp our feet. It feels good to go inside and shut down and shut everybody out. Whatever your inclination is when you're experiencing a negative emotion. But instead of going to reaction, which isn't taking in the emotion, isn't identifying the emotion and then dealing with it and breathing through it, the average emotion will last 90 seconds if we let it run its course. We hold on to it for days, weeks, months, and years. What is that doing to our overall health? So responding with ability, even when you start to say, I respond with ability to my individual thoughts and feelings, you start to set a different tone for the day. I respond with ability to my individual thoughts and feelings, and my entire program is focused around that statement. So it's pretty profound. See the opportunity in every experience, whether it's a negative experience or a positive experience. You know, we learn from our failures. We don't learn from our successes. So start seeing failure as an opportunity. Yeah, let's take a risk. Let's mess it up. Let's pull ourselves back together, and let's make another attempt. The most successful people in the world, like Thomas Edison, how many attempts did he make at that filament for that light bulb? right? How many attempts? The people that are really successful, they have a lot of failures. We just don't talk about them. Give yourself permission to fail. Give yourself permission to be where you're at. Acceptance, right? Self-love, we just talked about that, the 3 basic steps I believe in for self-love. And then what are you surrounding yourself with? What kind of books? What kind of music? What kind of programming? How are you inspired? Get out and be inspired. Get into creativity. Creativity is where healing takes place. I'm just going to finish on this. You know, what is incurable? Incurable means going inside and healing our emotional landscape. Every single person on the call and on this planet has the ability to do that. Go inside. You're the expert on you. Consult yourself. Consult your intuition. Learn how to breathe. Learn how to sit with yourself. And in doing so, you have all the answers you could possibly need. Get on this train and start exploring that idea. Do not be intimidated by the idea of incurable means dead end. We need, as a culture, to shift our idea about what disease is, what how it affects our lives, and what the possibilities are. So I really want to point that out. If you're dealing with some ideas that just seem impossible, go inside and make possibility an option. There's so many benefits to positive thinking, and it's more than just psychosomatics. As I said, you know, there's a whole study in our culture behind it, and I'm hoping as we move through time that the powers that be and Western medicine will start to take more into account about what's going on inside of you and what environment you're living in, as opposed to going to a textbook and just settling it with a quick answer. I think we need to be consulting and collaborating, and we have to be taking responsibility and really being intentional with our thought. Improved health is the benefit. So I'm just going to end on this note. Breathing, you guys. Breathing is where healing takes place. Feelings are energy. We went over that. And our capacity of feeling is a function of energy flow. And our greatest source of energy is our breath. It started when we brought into the world, and when we leave the world, it will leave us. And the way we breathe at any given moment dictates our energy, dictates our petri dish. So learn how to reconnect with your breath. It seems so simple, doesn't all of this? It is simple, as Einstein said, if not simpler. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity.
What an inspiring presentation, Erica. Thank you so very much. You mentioned several different ways in which people can learn how to receive through meditation, creative visualization, affirmation, goal setting, etc. And for those in our audience who are ready to begin creating a new path to being more mindful, but maybe are overwhelmed with all of these wonderful ideas, what would you say would be the one most important thing that they can do or begin to do each and every day to start this process?
Thanks, Samantha. Really basic. I think we need to start checking in throughout the day on how we're feeling. How am I feeling right now? For some of us, we've been so disconnected from our feelings for so long, or we've been avoiding them or running from them, and we have these quick go-tos, that if we start to set the intention about getting conscious about how we are feeling, then we can start to do something about it, right? So it's safe for me to have an emotion. It's safe for me to have a feeling. And that idea of breathing through the feeling, I'm just going to let myself have this feeling. I'm going to let myself be angry. I'm going to let myself be frustrated. I'm just going to sit with it for a moment. And sometimes we're in situations where there's so much going on that we need to get up, remove ourselves from the situation, go sit in a quiet place, and just experience that emotion. You'll be surprised how much time you have, too, where you're like, this is awesome, and I do feel good, and I do feel at peace even in this chaos. So identifying where your emotions are really important. For some of us, really accepting that it's okay to have an emotion. I think that's a great starting place. And all of this work is very simple. We don't need to complicate it.
Wonderful. Thank you again so much, Erica. Just a reminder to everyone that this session is being recorded and you will be able to watch and listen on demand. The recording will be posted to both YouTube and also on focusongoodhealth.com. Our next webinar will air on Wednesday, August 31st at 12 p.m. Eastern. Stay tuned for information about our upcoming guest speaker by visiting the events page on focusongoodhealth.com and subscribe to our RSS feed so that you won't miss out. Thank you all again and make today a great day. Bye-bye, everyone.